If you're taking Retatrutide right now, there are 10 things that you should never do. And if you do them, they're gonna flat out ruin your results. And number one is the scariest because it means you might not even be taking real Retatrutide. So let's start with the one mistake that makes every other optimization tip completely pointless. Here's what I mean. There have been reports of online sellers selling Tirzepatide labeled as Retatrutide. Independent lab testing has flagged this. People paying Reta prices, expecting Reta results, and injecting a completely different drug. And this isn't a one-off. With Retatrutide still not being FDA approved yet and the compounding crackdown getting more aggressive, the gray market is flooded with vials that nobody can verify. And the only vial that you truly know about is the one that you've personally sent for third-party testing. And I bet most of you haven't done that yet. I'm Dr. Jones, DC, and I lead a nationwide telemedicine clinic. I've lost over 100 pounds myself, and I use these strategies. I coach thousands of patients through GLP-1 and peptide protocols, including Retatrutide. And this mistake, sourcing, is the one that I see blow up more than anyone other. So let's dive right into it. So number one, verify your source, or you're optimizing a protocol for a drug that you might not even be taking. I'm talking about legitimately sending your product to an independent lab for third-party testing. The process is very easy to do and it's very cheap, but if you're not doing it, then you don't have the ability to say that you know this is certain and this is safe. Now the good news is if you're getting it from a 503A compounding pharmacy, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so now we move into the next tier because the next three are safety mistakes and they're all unique to Retatrutide. Mistake number two, raising your dose too fast. This is the most common thing that I see in our Retatrutide community. On Reddit and forums, you'll see people describing jumping from 2 milligrams to 4 and then 8 and then 12 within weeks, chasing faster results or some glucagon activation threshold that they picked up online because that's what makes Retatrutide different. It's the glucagon piece. But the problem, and this is where most people miss, in the phase 2 and phase 3 trials, side effect rates were 73 to 94% in the groups that got the drug. That's not a typo. Up to 94% of people on Retatrutide in that trial experienced side effects. And at higher doses, there was a dysesthesia signal, numbness, tingling, nerve-related symptoms that haven't really emerged clearly. And we didn't see that much at all with semaglutide or tirzepatide. Now that you understand the risk pattern, here's the why. Retatrutide is not semaglutide or tirzepatide. It's a triple-agonist, meaning it turns on 3 different hormone receptors. It activates your glucagon receptor on top of a GLP-1 and a GIP. That glucagon activation is what makes it so powerful for fat mobilization, but it's also what makes escalating recklessly, in my opinion, so dangerous. You're not just getting more appetite suppression, you're cranking up a powerful metabolic switch that most people's bodies, I think, aren't prepared for. I had a patient come in escalating every 2 weeks because a Reddit post with 75 upvotes told him that that's how you unlock Retatrutide. He was miserable, nausea, heart racing, couldn't sleep, so our providers dropped him back down, gave him a reset, took a break, and then we moved him back up to his lowest effective dose, and his results improved. Less drug, better outcomes. That's what proper coaching looks like. Mistake number 3, skipping a heart rate check and just an overall heart evaluation before starting Reta. This one is completely unique to Retatrutide. Semaglutide or tirzepatide cause a very minimal heart rate increase, maybe 1 to 3 beats per minute. Retatrutide can push it to around 5 to 10 beats per minute or higher. This is due to the glucagon receptor activation. This is a stimulatory-like effect. Now here's what that means. If you have an underlying heart condition that you don't know about, adding a drug that raises heart rate and affects rhythm is a risk that you don't want to take blind. Now I'm going to be clear, cardiovascular heart issues, this will be very, very powerful and help those issues just like the earlier GLP-1s. But I'm talking elevated baseline heart rates, heart arrhythmias. You don't want to mess around with this, and I honestly would just stay away from that completely until we have more time and safety data with Retatrutide. While we do have a dedicated cardiovascular trial in progress right now for Retatrutide, we just don't have the data yet. What we do have is phase 2 data that showed cardiac events like heart rate increases were generally non-serious though. Higher doses did show arrhythmia signals, and that's worth being extra concerned about. So you're essentially running an experiment on your heart without a baseline. At minimum, this is what we tell patients. Get a baseline resting heart rate. Ask your provider whether an EKG makes sense for you or whether it's overkill. Not everybody needs that, but it's definitely a question and a conversation to have. And make sure whoever is prescribing it to you has your full cardiac history. This is not a step that you should skip on a compound that aggressively drives your flight or fight system. Okay, mistake number 4, starting Retatrutide before your metabolism is stable enough for it. This is the one that nobody talks about, and it's where a lot of Reta didn't work for me stories are born, because everyone assumes that the strongest drug is the best first choice, but it's not always the case. Retatrutide is the most complex GLP-1 available. 3 receptor pathways running at the same time. And if your metabolism is severely dysfunctional, high fasting insulin, significant inflammation, blood sugar all over the place, meaning you're dealing with serious insulin resistance, jumping straight to the most complex tool means troubleshooting potentially 3 pathways at once before your body has any stability. What I see is that patients who stabilize first on Tirzepatide, get their appetite under control, start building nutritional habits, and then layer in Retatrutide strategically, and we mean stacking, and we're going to get into that, tend to get dramatically better outcomes and less roadblocks, less hiccups. Think of it this way: Tirzepatide is the foundation, Reta is the accelerator. You don't hit the gas before you build the road, and the stabilized insulin resistance piece. And this matters because some patients in our clinic report that Reta doesn't quiet food chatter nearly as much as Tirzepatide did for them. So if the food chatter is your biggest battle, starting with Reta might be the wrong entry point entirely. Now, if you're hearing all this and realizing that you jumped in a Retatrutide without anybody evaluating whether your body was actually ready for it, this is why we offer free discovery calls, where you can speak with our patient educators. They can look at your situation and help you make sense of your protocol, and then give you an idea of what it's like to work with me or my providers. You can text number on the screen, or you can check out the link in the description. But first, let me show you the next mistakes that are silently destroying your results right now, starting with the one that stalls fat loss even when your appetite is gone. So number 5, and I see this one more than anything else. This is the most common. You're not eating enough food. And I know that sounds insane on the strongest appetite suppressants available, GLP-1s, but you gotta hear me out. Retatrutide, Tirzepatide, they all crush your appetite so aggressively that people end up eating 600 to 1,000 calories a day without even realizing it. Now here's the thing. Yes, eating fewer calories than you burn, you're gonna lose weight, that's physics. But when your body detects what it thinks is a famine, especially when you're already insulin resistant, it fights back. Your metabolic rate drops, your NEAT drops. That's all the movement you do outside of exercise that burns more calories. Your body burns fat, but it takes muscle too as well. And the more severe the deficit, the more muscle you lose. And now you're exhausted, your hair's thinning, and the scale won't budge because your thyroid production has also slowed down. I call this the GLP-1 crash, metabolic crash, zombie mode, battery saving mode. The fix isn't eating less, the fix is eating strategically. And in our clinic, when patients hit this wall, we run what I call a metabolic reset. You might know it as a reverse diet, a structured, temporary process where we gradually increase caloric intake back towards near your total energy expenditure. We prioritize protein, and sometimes we even lower their Reta dose temporarily so that they can actually eat enough to fuel their body. It sounds backwards, but eating more in a structured way is what restarts the fat loss. Your hormones strongly influence how many calories that you burn, so we fix the hormonal environment first, and the deficit becomes sustainable on its own. Now, if that just flipped something in your head, a switch, and you're realizing that you've been starving yourself on the strongest appetite suppressants available, and that's why you're stuck, you need to hit that subscribe button right now, because we put out 2 videos per week breaking down this sort of GLP-1 and peptide strategies at this exact level, the mistakes, the protocols, and the science. Now let me show you mistake number 6, because it's one that I bet you probably have never heard. Number 6, assuming Retatrutide is handling your metabolic health just because the scale is moving. Here's what catches people off guard. Retatrutide does lower blood sugar overall. Trials confirm this, but the thing that most people miss, the degree of glucose improvement, blood sugar, you can get on Retatrutide doesn't always match the amount of weight that you're losing. Tirzepatide tends to deliver stronger blood sugar lowering results at comparable weight loss. Now, I know this is not proven in the data because you can pull up the Reta data and say it looks similar in blood sugar lowering, but it's early. And I've had patients on Reta losing weight, feeling great, but then we pull their labs and their A1C wasn't improving as fast as we'd expect for that level of weight loss. We don't know yet, and I think this has something to do with our continual learning and understanding of what glucagon activation is really doing. And that's a gap that I don't hear anybody talking about yet. And this is why blood work matters more on Reta than any other GLP-1. The scale is not a blood panel. If nobody is monitoring your glucose, your A1C, and your insulin resistance side of this, you're flying blind on a drug where the metabolic story is more complex than the weight loss story itself. Okay, mistake number 7, this is a biggie. Are you running a protocol or a Reddit shopping list, blindly combining medications and peptides without understanding what each one actually does? I see this constantly in the Retatrutide community. Somebody posts their stack, their photos, they look jacked, Reta plus CJC plus cagrilintide plus AOD, and everybody copies it without asking a single question about how these compounds interact, or potentially interact, because things like cagrilintide, we don't have enough data yet. Here's how I think about stacking and how we communicate to our patients. There are 3 systems that drive fat loss: appetite control, fat mobilization, and metabolic enhancement. Every compound that you add should target a specific system. CJC-IPA, that can be a smart addition. It supports muscle preservation, sleep, and recovery. But cagrilintide, that's an analog that reduces glucagon spikes after you eat. And what does Retatrutide's third receptor do? It activates glucagon. So you're paying for a drug that turns glucagon on and then stacking it with something that blunts glucagon after meals. You're potentially working against what makes Reta so special to begin with. Now pause on that. Could you look at your current stack right now and explain which of those 3 systems each compound is targeting? Because if you can't, That's a bit of a problem. The mistake isn't stacking itself, it's stacking without understanding which system each compound targets and whether they're working together or against each other. That's the difference between a sound protocol or a freaking shopping list. I hope you actually want to learn this stuff because I'm sure this is really important to you. So let's see how well you're actually comprehending. Go ahead and submit your answers in the quiz below. Let me know in the comments which one you relate to the most right now. I'm barely hungry, so I know I'm under eating, or my appetite fades early in the week and it creeps back later in the week because I see these patterns constantly with real Retatrutide patients, and I'll jump in and tell you what I flag based on what we see in our clinic. Now those mistakes, under eating, the metabolic monitoring gap, and blind stacking, those are the ones that you can see once someone points them out. But the next three, these are the ones that nobody's talking about. Mistake number 8, ignoring what Retatrutide does to your flight or fight system. If you've been on Reta and you felt like someone injected you with liquid Adderall, racing heart rate, wired at 2 a.m., vivid dreams that feel like full-blown movies, that's not a random side effect. That's the glucagon receptor doing exactly what it was designed to do. Glucagon doesn't just mobilize fat. It's closely tied to your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response. That's why Reta can increase heart rate and sympathetic tone more than semaglutide and tirzepatide typically does. It's not a bug, it's the mechanism. And if you're not managing it, it may wreck your sleep, spike your cortisol, and undo the metabolic benefits that you've been getting from the drug during the day. I've had patients show me their Oura Ring data, heart rate variability tanking, resting heart rate climbing, deep sleep disappearing, and every one of them said the same thing. I thought it was just stress. It wasn't stress, it was Reta's glucagon activation running their nervous system hot for 24 hours a day. Now understand this is not everybody. This is individuals who already had a bit of a beyond their stress tolerance kind of thing happening, and then you throw Retatrutide on top of that and it's just a potential mess. The fix is taking this seriously as a medication-driven effect, not just a nuance. Work with your clinician on injection timing. Some patients do better injecting in the morning, so the peak sympathetic activation happens during the day instead of at night. Prioritize sleep habits, not as a nice to have, but as a non-negotiable part of your protocol. And on Reta, sleep management isn't optional, it's a medication-driven necessity. Okay, number 9, and the one that's gonna surprise a lot of you, you're refusing to split your dose. The usual protocol for Retatrutide is 1 weekly injection, same as semaglutide and same as tirzepatide, and most patients stick with it because it's simple, but Reta isn't those drugs. What patients in our clinic report with a single weekly dose is that the first couple of days hit hardest, nausea, heart race, feeling wired, and then by day 5 or day 6, the effects fade and appetite creeps back. Whether that's true pharmacological spike or just how the body responds to the triple agonist, the pattern is consistent. We still have a lot to learn right now. So what we recommend to our patients is coordinating with the prescriber, splitting the same weekly dose into maybe 2 injections per week. Same amount of the drug per week. You're not taking more here. The idea here is to smooth out the curve. And in our clinic, patients who split when they were struggling on one report more consistent appetite suppressions, fewer side effect spikes. Though this hasn't been tested in trials yet, this is just a pattern that we're seeing clinically and it's hard to ignore. If you want me to make a full video breaking down exactly which peptides and compounds are safe to stack with your Retatrutide and which ones cancel out its benefits, let me know in the comments because that could easily be its own deep dive. Now, quick check. Could you explain to someone else why splitting the dose works differently on Reta than it does on semaglutide or tirzepatide? Sit with that for a moment because it comes down to the triple agonist profile. And then finally, mistake number 10, and this might be the most important one on this entire freaking list, expecting Retatrutide to be a stronger version of tirzepatide for appetite suppression. Because for a lot of people, it's not. Now here's the part that surprises every patient who makes the switch. What many of our patients report is that tirzepatide does more to silence food chatter, that constant mental noise about food, the obsessive thinking, the cravings that hijack your brain. Reta does show strong effects on metabolic markers, liver fat, body fat, and lipids. But appetite suppression and food chatter control, tirzepatide frequently wins this battle. So what happens here? Someone switches from tirzepatide to Retatrutide expecting more of everything. Instead, their food chatter comes back. They start eating more because the mental control isn't as strong, and that increased caloric intake overrides all the metabolic benefits that Retatrutide is supposed to deliver. They end up with worse results on the stronger drug. And I see this in our clinic regularly. Patients come in confused because Reta was supposed to be the upgrade, and they actually were losing less weight or they just stopped losing it at all. The fix depends on your primary struggle. If your food chatter is your biggest battle, if what's kept you from losing weight is that you can't stop thinking about food, tirzepatide is probably the better fit. But if your metabolism is the bottleneck, you got a lot of fatty liver disease, stubborn visceral fat, insulin resistance that won't budge, Reta might be what you need. And for a lot of patients, the answer is both at low doses, using tirzepatide for appetite and Reta for metabolic enhancement. But you need someone on your side who understands the difference and who can help you make that call. Okay, 10 mistakes, and every single one of them is specific to Retatrutide, not generic GLP-1 advice that you heard 100 times over. liver. These are the things that go wrong when you take the most complex weight loss compound available and you try to manage it with semaglutide logic. Now, if you made it this far, what surprised you the most about these 10 retatrutide mistakes? And which one were you making without realizing it? Be honest in the comments, because I bet you are going to say the same one that I hear all the time. Retatrutide activates 3 receptor pathways at the same time. No other GLP-1 does that. The glucagon receptor alone changes the cardiac risk profile, the blood sugar response, the side effect profile, the stacking rules, the dosing strategy, the sleep impact, and even which patients should be taking it in the first place. You can't apply semaglutide or tirzepatide logic to this drug, and yet that's exactly what most people are doing, running a tirzepatide playbook on a fundamentally different compound because nobody in their corner understands the difference. I talk to patients every single day who are smart, motivated people. They've done their research, they're in Reddit groups, they're tracking their macros. And they're still making these mistakes, not because they're lazy, but because the information that they're relying on was never designed for this drug. So let me ask you this, out of the 10 mistakes, how many could you have caught on your own without somebody helping you point them out? Really think about that, because that's the answer that tells you whether you're actually managing the protocol or you're just hoping for the best. Now, if you're on retatrutide right now, or you're considering it, and you've just realized that your sourcing is questionable, you've never gotten a cardiac screening, or nobody's monitoring your blood work or your nutrition, you don't even know what thread is the right drug for you in your specific situation, that's exactly what we help people with every single day. We offer free discovery calls where you can actually speak with one of our patient advocates. They'll get to know your history, what you've tried and what you've struggled with, what your long-term goals actually look like. Then they're going to walk through what it's actually like working with me, my coaching team, alongside our medical practitioners who handle the prescriptions and the dosing. And they'll review the programs and pricing so that you can see what long-term success could actually look like for your specific situation. Whether you're dealing with side effects you can't figure out, a plateau that won't break, metabolic markers not keeping up with your weight loss, or you just want someone who's actually understanding how this triple agonist compound works and can tell you if it's even right for you, you can text number on the screen, or you can check out the link in the description. It's a free call and there's zero pressure, I can promise you that. It's the decision framework that you get to make afterwards, whether you're ready to work with me, or if you just want to keep binging on my YouTube videos and learning on your own, that is totally fine. Now, speaking of videos that you want to binge on, you gotta check out this video next, because this is our deep dive into retatrutide, specifically talking about fatty liver disease, so you're not gonna want to miss it. We'll see you guys later.